It's time for a Bears Now mailbag. I am Harrison Graham. We got F. Marsh back here. He says, would you rather have Joe Alt or Dallas Turner? I think Joe Alt's clearly, maybe not clearly, but he's the better prospect. I think he's more polished at his position than Turner is at his. His athletic testing was better than I thought it would be. And I think his film this year was better than any of the other tackles in the class. Flauga's close, but he plays on the right side, and he's not quite as athletic. So I do think Alt's the better prospect. I think edge is a slightly bigger need because you can more than get by with Braxton Jones. Ryan Poles, I think, put it nicely saying that he's a starting left tackle in this league. But he did kind of hint that, hey, like, if we have an opportunity to upgrade, we're not going to close the door on that. I think Joe Alt would be an upgrade. So I'll let you guys decide. I would probably go Alt if both are available. I just think he's the better player. But Turner's upside's big. Type JA for Joe Alt, DT for Dallas Turner. Pick a player down in the comments. Sal Eats says, if the Bears tell the media they're taking Caleb at 1, how long until they can bring him in to start working? I want an edge at 9. Well, the Caleb stuff first. Even if they go public that they're taking Caleb, they can't bring him in and start, like, you know, doing, like, on-field workouts and stuff like that, like installation of the, like, deep installation into the playbook. I know on the top 30 visits, you know, they're probably going to do some of those things, but they can't, like, just get, you know, have him start working out. Like, players on the team right now can't do organized workouts at the facility. It's part of the rules. Like, you just can't do that right now at the facility. So, as far as edge at 9 goes, yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed. If a receiver's there, that's the direction I would go. Open to a tackle as well. So, really kind of just depends who's on the board. Chris Lopez, trade the number 1 pick for Justin Herbert and some draft capital. Are you taking it? I mean, probably, right? Justin Herbert, you know, say what you want. He's pretty proven in this league. I think at worst, he's a top 10 quarterback, and the Bears haven't had a top 10 quarterback in this league ever. Maybe 1 year of Jay Cutler, he was top 10, but I would probably have to do that. Unless you're just sold that Caleb Williams is a top 5 quarterback in this league, which I think he has that potential, but we know Herbert is close to that already, even if the Chargers haven't won a ton under him yet. The Bears sign Odell Beckham Jr. plus draft a receiver next year in the first or second round. You could do that. I'll say this. If they're going to bring in OBJ, I think that's a post-draft move. You're going to go through the draft, see if you do get one of those guys at 9 or get a guy on day 2 that you like that can be that number 3 guy for you. If that doesn't happen, if the draft comes and goes and it's DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Tyler Scott's kind of your clear third option, then yeah, I could see the Bears being interested in a free agent at that point, maybe even OBJ. I'd still be surprised if they brought him in here. I think he'll sign with a team that's more considered as a true Super Bowl contender in 2024, but who knows? Like, I could see OBJ waiting until after the draft and kind of just taking a view at the whole landscape for all 32 teams. Paleo, with Teven's injury history, what is your thought on letting this year play out and then you franchise tag him until you finally get a team, or until you get a team-friendly deal? Perhaps. The problem, Paleo, is if he goes out there and has a mostly healthy season and falls out, then you might be looking at $18, $20 million per year for Teven. Robert Hunt just got 5 years for $100 million. I think Teven Jenkins is a more talented guard than Robert Hunt. So if he can go out there and have a healthy year, someone's going to pay him big money. So if you're going to get a team-friendly deal, you might have to take the risk and do it now. Which, yeah, it's risky, and I think you'd have to have some incentives built in. I don't think the Bears would do a reckless contract with him, given his injury history. But, man, when he's healthy, he is a game changer on that offensive line. Subscribe to the channel. We got daily Bears content for 100% free. We cover news when news drops. We react to the wild rumors that are surrounding this team, draft coverage, free agency, trade buzz, and everything else, stadium talk. We cover it all, so hit that sub button. Nexus Can says, what would you give us to trade with the Chargers for a receiver with the 5th pick? What would you give up? I've kind of explored this, and if you're watching live, I got a trade idea coming up with the Chargers, actually, so stay tuned. But, like, I'd give up 9 in that Carolina pick next year if it was Marvin Harrison Jr. and maybe even Neighbors too. That Carolina pick is valuable, man. It's going to be a top 40 selection next year. I think the Panthers are still a while away, so that's going to be a high pick. So you pair that with number 9 to go up 4 spots and get a big-time weapon that can be a number 1 in this league. Yeah, I mean, I'd be willing to do it to pair MHJ with Caleb Williams. A real shake. Do you feel the front office is overvaluing Braxton Jones? I don't really. I mean, Ryan Poles came out and said, I think he can be a left tackle. I think he's a starting left tackle in this league. But he kind of went on and said, if we can upgrade there, we'll certainly look to do it. He's basically saying what I think is true. He is a starter. There's 32 of them. He's certainly top 32. I would probably say he's in that 15 to 22 range among left tackles. And but if you can get a top 10 guy in here, certainly have to consider that. So I don't think they're overvaluing them. I think they feel like they're okay there if they don't upgrade, but they certainly are not closing the door on upgrading there either. They're in a good spot with that because worst case scenario, you've got a guy entering his 3rd year that's been a mostly at least above average starter for 2 years now. All right, Prize Picks it's just way better than above average. It is the premium daily fantasy sports app in North America, the largest, the most used daily fantasy sports app in North America, and you can download the app today at prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use the code CLNS to get a deposit match up to $100. This, I would argue, look, football season is the best. We all know that. But when it comes to daily fantasy, this exact moment on the calendar is hard to beat. You got baseball underway. You got March Madness coming down the stretch. NBA, NHL making their playoff pushes. I got a little 2-player season-long MLB play going right now. Cody Bellinger, give me the more on 24.5 homers. Love the Cubbies bringing him back. I think he hits 25 plus. Adolis Garcia for the Rangers, who just carried them in the postseason last year. I think he hits 33 with ease. Give me the more there as well. 10 to win 30, but you got daily plays like hits, RBIs, combo plays, 2 to 6 player entries. You can cross over sports. So much options right now with all these different sports going at once. More or less, pick more or less. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Use the code CLNS. They'll match you up to $100 when you deposit. Okay, let's keep it rolling here. DC Viper, could the Bears trade down and draft Brian Thomas or Jared Verse if top guys all get drafted? Absolutely. Now, there's only a couple different scenarios. And first of all, it kind of depends. Top guys, our thought on that and the Bears' thought on that could be totally different. But, there is an exact scenario where it's like the quarterbacks, the top 3 receivers, and Joe Alt are all gone. So, yeah, maybe in that scenario you're trading down. I would love Brian Thomas or Jared Verse in a trade down. I wouldn't even mind either of those players at 9. Thomas at 9 feels a little rich. Verse at 9 is a little rich, but, they're impactful players at positions of need. So, if that's the worst case scenario, you get one of those dudes at 9, I'm certainly not upset with it. But, yeah, if you could trade down for one of those guys, maybe you trade between 12 and 15 and get one of them there, I would certainly be happy with that. Mike G, would you trade our own second next year plus a late-round pick this year for T. Higgins? Well, your latest pick this year is a 4th. So 4th this year and your own second next year, I don't know if I would, man. The trade market hasn't been that strong. Maybe your 3rd this year and a 3rd next year for T. Higgins. I don't think the Bengals have a ton of leverage right now because the receivers in this draft are so damn good. So they might just end up keeping them on the tag. That would not surprise me. The problem, too, is if you make that move, you got to be ready to pay him $25 million a year. At minimum, he's getting what Calvin Ridley got, and I think he's getting more because he's 4 or 5 years younger. So, I don't think the Bengals have as much leverage right now with that T. Higgins situation. L'Jarius Sneed was a far better player last year at a close to equal position at corner, and he went for a 3rd and a 7th round pick swap. So there are some medical concerns there, I think, but still, I think it just kind of shows the trade market for even elite players at big-time positions is not that strong. Turtle, how far do you think the Bears have to trade down from 9 to get a second rounder this year? It's a good question. It's hard to know. Probably at least 14 or 15. Maybe the Raiders at 13 if they're QB desperate and they want to come up to 9. Maybe they throw you your second, but I feel like if they do, you're probably throwing back a 4th or something like that. So, Seattle at 16 is maybe a team. What if the Bengals at 18 or like, screw it, let's get Brock Bowers. And they give you 18, and I think it's 49, their second round pick, or 50 to move up to 9. I could see something like that. Rams at 19, but I don't think if you're dropping to like 11, 12, 13, you're likely to get a second rounder. I think you're probably talking more like a third. Who is your favorite Bears player of all time? For me, it's Devin Hester. It's about time he's getting into the Hall of Fame this year. Who is your favorite Bears player of all time? Drop his name in the chat right now. Zhao, what is your opinion about Gabriel Murphy? He's the other UCLA edge rusher. His brother Grayson's on the team as well. He could be a late round draft pick, but I think middle rounds, good rusher. I think he's a tick undersized for a 4-3 edge, but is 75 too rich for him? Maybe. I'd probably go 4th round, but we'll see. It's hard to know. I think there's a lot of guys between like 50 and 125 that could go anywhere in that range. He's probably in the latter part of that, but he's probably in that grouping. Eddie Padilla, Joe Alt, Neighbors, Turner, Brock, all available at 9. Who do you take? Neighbors. No hesitation. Neighbor, I would rank that Neighbors, Alt. I like Bowers better as a prospect, but I think I have to factor in need a little bit there. I'd probably lean Turner and then Bowers. But Neighbors 1, Alt 2. I mean, and they would be a notable jump above the other two, I would say, at this point in time. Give me a follow on Twitter. If you didn't get your question answered, you can ask me over there. It's at HGramNFL. Appreciate the love, appreciate the support that you guys continue to show us here on the channel, also on social media. Almost at 9,000 followers over there, so if you want to help me out, at HGramNFL, would greatly, greatly appreciate it.